There's no place in America for this kind of violence, for any violence, ever. Period. No exceptions. We can't allow this violence to be normalized. You know, the political record in this country has gotten very heated. It's time to cool it down.
That was Biden. In a rare Sunday night address from the White House, he used the occasion to call for calm and unity in a time of political divisions. Biden has ordered an independent review of the security measures at the Trump rally where the assassination attempt took place. The FBI and the Secret Service officials are still investigating the shooter and his motivations. CBC's Marianne Demain has been following the developments for us on that part of the story, and she joins us now. Marianne, I should let the audience know that very soon after speaking with you, we're going to speak with a former FBI investigator. We're also going to be speaking with former members of the Secret Service. But this is happening right now, and I wonder if you can bring us up to speed in terms of what we know for the investigation.
Yeah, because there really are so many questions within this investigation when it comes to whether enough was done in terms of security. So we'll get to that in just a moment. But this is being investigated as an act of domestic terrorism. We also know that they believe that this gunman acted alone. But as for a motive, that still remains unclear. It's unclear what the sequence of events were that led to the shooter going to Butler, Pennsylvania on Saturday at that rally where Trump was, shooting in his direction, injuring his ears, and killing one of those in the crowd. And you can see it was very close, less than 150 meters, according to this graphic here. That shooter, you can see on a roof just outside of the security perimeter, and Trump on the stage. That other red dot you see on the right hand of your screen is where he was standing on the podium. There is also cell phone video that captures the shooter on the roof just moments before the fatal shooting.
Yeah, someone's on top of the roof. Look. There he is right there. Right there, see him? He's laying down, you see him?
Yeah, he's laying down.
They see him laying down, and afterwards they start yelling to authorities to alert them to the fact that there is someone armed with a gun on that roof. Moments later, those shots were fired in Donald Trump's direction, injuring him in his ear, and then also fatally shooting that attendee who was there for that rally. An AR-style rifle was also found there at the scene, and moments later, that suspect was shot and killed by the Secret Service. Here's more from someone who watched this all unfold.
We noticed a guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle.
A rifle.
We could clearly see him with a rifle, absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey, man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle.
And that rifle was found at the scene. But again, questions about how this armed gunman was able to get so close to the former president in the first place. Yes, it was outside of the security perimeter, but it is the responsibility of Secret Service to not only do a site check, but also detail what security measures are needed ahead of big rallies like this one. So that is now the focus of an FBI investigation, whether there were any security failures here. We also heard in that address in the Oval Office over the weekend with President Biden that he's now issued directions for an independent investigation, Natasha, into the national security at that rally. We now know the Secret Service, has agreed to cooperate, of course. They have to, but they are defending their actions over the weekend.
What do we know so far about the suspect?
Well, we know the name of the suspect is 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks. He lives about an hour away from where that rally was in Butler, Pennsylvania. He's from Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. That's his photo there. We also know that that AR-style rifle that was found at the scene of the shooting on Saturday was purchased, according to authorities, by Crooks' father just a few months ago. And you see the yellow tape cordoning off his neighborhood in Bethel Park. That was the focus and continues to be the focus of an investigation, not only in his home, but also in his vehicle. The FBI say they located 2 suspicious devices in both of those locations. Bomb technicians rendered those safe, and they are now being investigated. We also know that, according to records, he was a registered Republican, and when he was 17 years old, he made a $15 donation to Act Blue. That raises money for Democratic politicians, so that's interesting. Also important to note that he would have been voting for the first time in a presidential race, finally old enough now. But those who know him describe him as quiet and good at school.
From what I knew with my friends, they said he was good in government type classes. So anything in government or history, he seemed to know what he was talking about. But it was nothing out of the ordinary.
He was
a kid that was always alone. He was always bullied every day. He was just an outcast.
To give you more of a sense of who he was, he worked at a nursing home, according to CNN. Also reports that he was part of a gun club in Pittsburgh that did have a 180-meter long rifle range. As for that motive, as I mentioned, Natasha, still unclear. They have been looking through his social media posts, officials saying no threatening language there. They're also trying to access his devices to piece together what they can to try to get some more answers to these lingering questions.
Okay, thanks so much, Marianne.
You're welcome.
All right, let's stick with that part of the story and turn now to Mary Ellen O'Toole. She's a former senior FBI profiler and a special agent and is now the director of the Forensic Science Program at George Mason University. Mary Ellen, thanks so much for making time for us.
You're welcome.
Mary Ellen, I don't know if you were able to hear my colleague Marianne as she was describing the little bits and pieces that we now know about the suspect. I mean, these are just snapshots of an individual. How exactly does the FBI go about figuring out and constructing what a possible motive could be when the suspect is dead?
It's not easy and it takes a while. So you're exactly right. Your reporter was right. They're getting bits and pieces through their interviews and through the searching of his phone and computers and any online presence that he has. And through that, they're able to develop major themes, major personality traits about this person that will give them more information. I heard one of the people being interviewed say he's quite the loner and he was bullied, and that will be disputed by other people. So it takes a while to navigate through all the interviews and through all the information before they start to see common themes, common trends that really give a much better picture of who this person is. So not only do they talk to friends, but they'll also talk to family. Who did he live with? He lived apparently with his mom and his dad. So their perspective becomes incredibly important. They'll even talk to people that he worked with in the retirement home. What was he like there? So over time, they began to put together pieces in 6 areas of this young man's life. And that includes how is he socially, and then you go down to the 6th level, which is the most important, to be honest with you, and that's called the secret level of your life. Everybody has a secret level, and that's where they will find some of the information they're looking for.
And what about the scene itself? Now that everyone has gone home, now that people have moved on, at least from the Republican Party, to Milwaukee, how do you reconstruct what you need to from a forensic perspective to know exactly what happened and what exactly went wrong?
The FBI is really quite experienced with that. So they will go back and look at how much knowledge this shooter had about that area. And it would not be unlikely that prior to Saturday, this person came to that location to check it out, did a recon of that location. Is it 100%? No, it's not. But to be successful in an outdoor crime scene, oftentimes the shooter will go there beforehand and do a recon. What's the area like? Where can I go? Are there buildings that I can get on top of? How difficult it is to get on top of a roof? So that kind of recon will become important. And if by chance there might be cameras there that they can access, those cameras will be able to confirm that. But they will be able to look at where he was on top of that roof. They'll be able to look at any physical evidence that was left behind. Obviously, they have his car. They're searching the car. And each piece of information will tell them more and more about how much planning went into this. And at what point did he begin to recon the area where he conducted the shooting, and whether or not anyone helped him. And I think they're getting to the point right now where they're feeling pretty confident that he acted alone.
Let's talk about the scope of the investigation, Mary Ellen. How many people would be involved in an investigation as high profile as this, where someone has lost their life? And how long would an investigation take?
Well, there will be a huge number of FBI agents and local police that are involved in the case. So not only do you have the offices in Pennsylvania that are working on the case, they'll be sending leads to other agents and other field offices throughout the United States. So ultimately, you could have 100 FBI agents involved in this case. They will, on the ground, physically have what's called the ERT, which stands for the Evidence Response Team, and those will be the agents and the technicians who will be on the scene. They'll be going through that building where the shooter was. They'll be looking for any signs that that individual had been there prior to Saturday. They'll be collecting any physical evidence. And then, of course, you have agents and police officers who are back at what they call the command center, and they are taking in any leads that are coming in, and they are processing what kind of leads need to be handled with a priority basis to it. So you will have probably at any point in time, at least right now, as many as 100 people working on this case, if not more.
Mary Ellen, before I let you go, just so that we understand, I mean, I know the purpose of the investigation would be to figure out what happened here, but now that the suspect is gone, could there be charges for someone else? Or would the investigation also be looking at mistakes made by either the Secret Service or the Republican Party or the local police units?
Well, the purpose of the investigation right now is to determine and to acquire as much information as they can about the shooter, even though he's deceased. So that is their priority. And as part of that priority, they want to make sure that no one else was involved. If someone else is involved and they learn that, yes, it's very possible that charges can be filed against that person. So it really depends on what the investigation determines. Now, as part of that investigation, if they find that there were mistakes made or there were issues that developed that contributed to what happened on Saturday, that information will come out as well. But their priority is to determine who is this shooter, what led up to this, what contributed to this, what are their motivations, and was there anyone else involved that could be charged.
Okay, good to know. Mary Ellen O'Toole, thank you so much for your time, and I hope we can speak again as this investigation continues.
You're welcome.